but there is something you guys are doing that is kind of disturbing me a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. You guys have sent the military into Washington, D.C. and a few other cities that I can't think of off the top of my head.
All right, check it out. It only took a few college students to expose the fundamental flaws in J.D. Vance's worldview. Vance was debating college students at a Turning Point USA event in Oxford, Mississippi. After Charlie Kirk was obviously killed tragically, kicking off the first event, the tour has continued with different faces rotating in. We had Megyn Kelly hosting one event. We now have J.D. Vance hosting one event in Oxford, Mississippi. And I just want to break down a few key moments. There's one moment where a dude in a Trump hat asks him a really good question about the National Guard, saying, hey, if you're able to mobilize a National Guard into certain states or into certain territories like D.C., what stops the next administration from mobilizing it in the same way, maybe against a Turning Point USA event? It is a very good question and one that deserves to be asked. But first, let me show you the moment that's been going mega viral, where a woman asks J.D. Vance, a really, really heartfelt question, saying, Republicans have talked for years about the American dream, about people moving here, making the country better, people moving here and having a path forward, upward mobility. But now you guys are trying to take that away and demonize the people who have moved here. I'm going to let her play this. I'm going to let her say this. Make sure you drop a like and make sure you're subscribed to the Adam Mockler feed to help boost the message. And let's listen to this.
Hello, Mr. Vice President. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to talk here today. I did not agree with many of the things that you said right ahead of this, but I don't think that's my point to discuss here. What I want to ask is, you are married to a woman who is not Christian. In her Wikipedia, I just looked that up. I wanted to know what her faith was. I didn't know this before. But she still calls herself Hindu. You are raising three kids in interracial, cultural, racial, religious household. How are you maintaining, or how are you teaching your kids not to keep your religion ahead of their mother's religion? Or how are you teaching them that your kind, they're that kind who got here just few years or few decades ago is different or is better than your mom's kind who got here just a generation before? How are you balancing that? And when you talk about too many immigrants here, when did you guys decide that number? Why did you sell us a dream? You made us spend our youth, our wealth in this country and gave us a dream. You don't owe us anything. We have worked hard for it. Then how can you, as a vice president, stand there and say that we have too many of them now and we are going to take them out to people who are here rightfully so by paying the money that you guys asked us? You gave us the path, and now how can you stop it and tell us we don't belong here anymore? And one more thing, one more thing.
Sure.
Do you have to
There's
be...
a lot there. I don't know if I'm going to remember all this, but I will try.
I'm sorry. I had to say all of this, and please take it with due... I'm saying all of this with due respect.
Go ahead. Please.
I have no intention of causing a scene here or anything, but...
We're not close to causing a scene, don't worry.
But we talked about Christianity, all of this. I'm not even Christian, and I'm here standing to so support. Why are we making Christianity one of the major things that you have to have in common to be one of you guys, to show that I love America just as much as you do? Why is that still a question? Why do I have to be a Christian?
Okay, so there was a lot there, and I'm going to try to respond to as much of it as I can. So on the question of immigration, so first of all, I can believe that we should have lower immigration levels, but if the United States passed a law and made a promise to somebody, the United States, of course, has to honor that promise. Nobody's talking about that. I'm talking about people who came in violation of the laws of the United States of America, and I'm talking about in the future reducing the number of people. Sorry, what?
May I continue on that? Because when you just said you are not stopping with the people who came here legally, right? But you are pushing out policies that hurt us. And these policies are not even solving the problems. These policies are just creating chaos.
Ma'am. Okay, so again, I'm gonna finish answering the question, and then if I've answered all 9 of your questions in less than 15 minutes, then we can keep on going. We got to have a little fun, right? So here.
I mean, it's a clever way of not answering anything substantively.
Here's the thing. I can believe that the United States should lower its levels of immigration in the future, while also respecting that there are people who have come here through lawful immigration pathways that have contributed to the country. But just because one person or 10 people or 100 people came in legally and contributed to the United States of America, does that mean that we're thereby committed to let in 1 million or 10 million or 100 million people a year in the future? No, that's not right. We cannot have, I'll go and finish. We cannot have an immigration policy where what was good for the country 50 or 60 years ago binds the country inevitably for the future. There's too many people who want to come to the United States of America, and my job as vice president is not to look out for the interests of the whole world. It's to look out for the people of the United States. Now,
I don't know, everybody cheers, but it kind of feels like he didn't answer the question. I feel like the question was largely based around the attitudes towards legal immigrants and this conflation that comes from the administration where they try to bring up, violent criminals or drug dealers every single time they bring up immigration. They try to draw a connection between these two, even when they're talking about legal immigration. So essentially, I feel like she was asking a few different questions, but at the core of her question is, why are you demonizing immigrants, both legal and illegal, but even legal immigration? You're making the pathways harder. You're removing temporary protected status. You're making the barriers for H-1B visas higher, saying you have to pay $100,000. Over and over, I can list these examples of then making legal immigration tougher, unless you're coming from South Africa and you're a white person or you're a Christian of some sort, which is what she was saying, but he didn't really get to the heart of that. He then started going for the easiest stuff and attacking illegal immigration, saying, hey, listen, we just want to minimize the amount of illegal immigration happening. Of course, everybody wants to minimize the amount of illegal immigration happening. Let me show you this next clip of a dude asking J.D. Vance about the National Guard. This one's quite lighthearted. I mean, they joke around a bit, but the question is quite serious. We need an answer to this question. It's quite serious. J.D. Vance is not satisfactory. Take a listen.
Hello, J.D. How you doing today, man?
Good. How you doing?
In the wise words of Ricky Bobby, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Don't feel bad. Neither do I half the time, man.
Okay.
Brutal lack of laugh from the crowd.
Half the time, man.
Okay. First off, yeah, laugh it up. Okay, first off, I just want to say I am a huge supporter of the Trump administration. I was 3 months too late to vote for you guys, but if I could have, I would have. So I'm a huge supporter of you guys before I make my argument, but there is something you guys are doing that is kind of disturbing me a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. You guys have sent the military into Washington, D.C. and a few other cities that I can't think of off the top of my head, which first off, they've had wonderful results. No one can deny the results of that. It's wonderful.
I mean, you can deny the results. People going to restaurants at a 40% lower rate means people aren't really going out as much. And when people aren't going out as much because there's military on the streets, that's clearly a short-term solution. I mean, what, are you just going to perpetually have military on the streets of Chicago, for example, where I live and record, just always have military out there forever, and that's going to solve the crime problem? Are we going to turn into North Korea?
Some might even say the greatest. I'm a comedian.
I like this guy. Who is this guy?
You can make the crowd laugh more than J.D. Vance can.
Thank you, J.D. I like you too.
Now he's gonna ask the question about all the shit that we did wrong, but that's okay. Go ahead and ask your question.
But yeah, I'm just wondering, well, it's not necessarily something you did wrong, but it's what could someone else do wrong? Let's say we get a complete tyrant in office, and let's say Turning Point USA is having a huge protest against something really bad that we don't like, and let's say he's a president is saying that it's getting violent. How can we? I'm trying to think. My mind's kind of blank. What is the difference between what you're doing and how could we prevent someone from abusing that power?
It's a really good question. He's basically saying it's a slippery slope. If one administration begins to mobilize the National Guard illegally against the explicit will of the governor, the mayors in the state, everyone who lives in these states, and he just continues to do that, which is incredibly authoritarian and illegal, especially after posting memes of the city on fire, but that's a different story, then, hey, we're all laughing now. We're all yucking. We all think it's like fun now, but what if the next Democratic president isn't as nice and decides to just mobilize the National Guard into red states? It's not as funny then. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, so look, I understand where the question is coming from, and I think it's a fair question. And it's going to sound like I'm being sarcastic, and it really is not meant in any offense. But when you talk about what could another administration do, to take a wild, hypothetical example totally off the top of my head, what if Joe Biden sent the Federal Bureau of Investigation to start arresting his political opponents?
Oh, that's bullshit.
Okay? So here's something that I want every conservative to remember. It's an important part of my entire political philosophy is we cannot be afraid to do something because the left might do it in the future. The left is already going to do it regardless of whether we do it. That is the takeaway of the last 40 years.
We're not. No Democratic president has mobilized the National Guard against the will of the people who run these states. No Democratic president has started crypto schemes. No Democratic president has tried to run for a third term or joked about it this much and posted AI memes. I mean, no Democratic president has tried to sign executive orders that overturn birthright citizenship or other constitutional amendments. When J.D. Vance tries to point to some non-example from Biden, what do you mean Biden ordered his FBI to go after anybody? They keep saying this, but they have no actual example of Biden ordering his DOJ to do that. I proved this on CNN by, asking Scott Jennings over and over, what's your proof? They never have any. But not only that, to make matters worse, Trump literally did ask Pam Bondi in a Truth Social post directly. He said, hey, Pam, go after these 3 people. And 2 out of those 3 people have been gone after ever since that post. It's so directly, clearly obvious. It's persecution, and J.D. Vance is not answering that kid's question. The dude's question is very, 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 savvy. It's smart. He's saying, hey, dude, we're all sitting here cheering while you're arresting opponents and mobilizing the military. Could this potentially backfire? And J.D. Vance is, no. J.D. Vance is like, no, this has already all happened. Trust me. Like, the Democrats have already done all this. Nobody's done all this before, bro. If you think Merrick Garland and Joe Biden were out there doing radical shit, then you weren't paying attention. And obviously, he's just grifting, trying to consolidate power as much as possible. I'm going to leave it there. If you appreciate the videos on the Adam Mockler channel, all that I ask is that you drop a like, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.